Back to the daily grind, and shout out to the full-time patrons. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back bagel biting bitch boy, cause you know what time it is. It's full time.
MMA.
And it looks like Chad Mendes is going to have to put the hopes of a Frankie Edgar rematch on ice for just a little bit, as he's scheduled to face Myles in his return from his 2-year drug suspension. Now, when you hear 2-year drug suspension, I know it automatically sounds terrible, but I'll just say in the case with Chad Mendes, even though he accepted the suspension, there's been reports that it was from a skin cream because he has a skin disorder like psoriasis, I believe it's called. And so the cream that Chad Mendes used to treat that psoriasis allegedly had a banned substance in it. So he accepted responsibility. Hey, I should have read the ingredients for the skin cream. It's my fault. Took the 2-year drug suspension, 2.5 years he's been out, and now he's coming back. Chad Mendes is one of the best grapplers / fighters in the featherweight division. He was in the top 5 of the division for a while. He fought for the title twice against Jose Aldo and Conor McGregor. So Chad Mendes is a very legitimate featherweight, but he's coming back. As I said, he hasn't fought since 2015. He's going to be fighting a fucking tough guy in Myles. Myles, I believe, only has 2 losses in the UFC, and I forget who they're to. I know one of them was to Donald Cerrone. That was the one that was the most recent loss, I believe. So he lost to Donald Cerrone, took a little bit of time off, came back and picked up 2 wins in 2017. So Myles is on riding a 2-fight winning streak right now, looking great. I believe he's ranked number 11th in the featherweight division. So Chad Mendes is going to be looking to get back in the rankings with the win over Myles. But Myles is going to be looking to show that he can beat one of the best grapplers in the featherweight division. If Myles can get past Chad Mendes, that's going to answer a lot of questions just as far as being a well-rounded fighter. Because honestly, the highest level wrestlers in MMA, the guys that can take you down, keep you there, control you, like the guys from Team Alpha Male, a lot of the smaller guys from Team Alpha Male, you know, the guys that have this high level wrestling, man, they're really bad matchups for a lot of people. If you're a Frankie Edgar or a Chad Mendes, there's not a lot of people, you know, a Khabib Nurmagomedov with Kevin Lee. You're a bad matchup for a lot of people because strikers for sure don't want to be on their back against you. And chances are, if you're in the UFC in the top 10, top 5, even if you're a wrestler, you've trained some sort of jiu-jitsu. You've got at least some jiu-jitsu defense to be able to stave off any form of submission that might be used from someone's back after you take them down. So these guys like Chad Mendes, these are serious tests for anybody. Chad Mendes, that's probably why he's fought for the title multiple times. Frankie Edgar's fought for the title 8 times. Chad Mendes fought for the title twice already because their style is so great for mixed martial arts. Now, with that being said, if Myles can stave off a couple of takedowns from Chad Mendes and actually go on to win the fight, this guy's looking to be en route to a title shot. He's already on a 2-fight winning streak, and if he can answer questions against Chad Mendes as far as showing that he can stave off those takedowns and win this fight versus Chad Mendes, it's going to be big for Myles as well. So even though Chad Mendes is technically unranked right now because he's coming off a suspension, he's still a very high level fighter. So this is going to be a great fight added to UFC Boise, and UFC Boise is already stacked. Recently they announced Junior Dos Santos' return, and now that's something that's messed up. Both these guys, Chad Mendes and Junior Dos Santos, are coming off of suspensions, right? Chad Mendes accepted responsibility, but Junior Dos Santos was actually cleared by USADA. They busted some Brazilian lab, cleared like 3 fighters. Hey, all of you guys, it wasn't on you, it was this lab, you know, so they're good. So Junior Dos Santos is a guy that was scheduled to fight Francis Ngannou, and he got pulled from the fight by USADA. He probably was out 6 months or longer while they figured out what was going on. And recently JDS came out and said, man, it's like you're guilty until you're proven innocent. You know, now people look at me like I cheated, I lost the opportunity against Francis Ngannou, and I'm innocent. So what the fuck's really going on in that situation? So, I mean, not going to complain too much about that. Junior Dos Santos definitely isn't. He's got a main event fight. Looks like the UFC is giving him, I don't know if they are, you know, Junior Dos Santos, yeah, that was pretty fucked up what happened. Here's a main event. That's probably not the case. Junior Dos Santos is a very popular fighter, former UFC heavyweight champion. So that's part of the reason he's probably headlining this card over the Paul Fielders and James Vicks of the world, because that's another great fight on this card, Paul Fielder versus James Vick. I mean, if you look at all of these fights, you probably know somebody. Justin Scoggins versus Said Nurmagomedov. Said Nurmagomedov is actually Khabib's cousin versus Justin Scoggins. You know both of those guys. Well, I do. Cat Zingano versus Marion Renault. That's a great bantamweight fight. Cat Zingano versus Marion Renault. I mean, this low-key has title implications for Marion Renault. I know she's trying to get to a title shot, but right now it's a little tied up there. It was for a while, but Amanda Nunes is going to be defending her title this weekend at UFC 224. And then after that, it looks like Caitlin Vieira might be in line, but Marion Renault, if not Caitlin Vieira, could very well be fighting next for the title if she gets a very impressive win over Cat Zingano here. She's coming off that triangle choke over Sarah McMahon. You know, that was a great performance. So we'll see. I got my eye on that fight for sure. Liz Carmouche versus Jennifer Maia. That's another fun fight. Now we've got Chad Mendes versus Myles Jury. Then there's another fight that I've heard is on this card, but it hasn't been announced formally by anybody. And that's Sage Northcutt versus Zach Attoh. Sage Northcutt's going back up to welterweight looking like a human Super Saiyan. Put on about 20 pounds of muscle, 25 pounds of muscle, and he's going up to welterweight to fight Zach Attoh. That would be an amazing fight wherever it happens. I think it might happen here at UFC Boise. It's not officially announced, but just between the three most recent fights that have been announced, Chad Mendes, Myles Jury, Paul Felder, James Vick, Junior Dos Santos versus Blagoy Ivanov. All three of those fights already got me fucking locked. These 6 fights, I'm going to be watching the card. There's probably going to be more fights added to the card. But either way, to talk about the main event for a second, JDS versus Blagoy Ivanov. I don't know Blagoy Ivanov's story as good as some people, as I saw in the comments. They point out like how Blagoy Ivanov, he only lost, I knew he only lost 1 fight in like his last 7 or 8. But they talk about he got like stabbed in the heart at some point. He still survived. I'll have to do more into that and, you know, fill you guys in on Blagoy Ivanov. But this guy's a heavyweight. He's only like 30 years old. He was like 4-0 in Bellator. I'm sorry, he was 4-1 in Bellator before going to the World Series of Fighting or the PFL or whatever and going 5-0. So Blagoy Ivanov in like his last 10 fights only has 1 loss, and the guy he lost to is Alexander Volkov, who's one of the top 5 heavyweights, just beat Fabricio Verdum in the UFC. So Blagoy Ivanov is a very legitimate heavyweight. He's going to be facing Junior Dos Santos. We don't 100% know how Junior Dos Santos is going to look coming off of this suspension, because even though he was cleared of all wrongdoing, I mean, he's still been out for a while. So we'll see how Junior Dos Santos looks in his return against this guy, Blagoy Ivanov. That's going to be a great headlining fight. Paul Felder versus James Vick. Paul Felder was supposed to fight at UFC 223 against Ali Quinta. After the bus attack, Ali Quinta had to step up to fight Khabib Nurmagomedov, so Paul Felder lost his opponent. Now he's fighting James Vick, who's been looking for ranked opponents, saying everyone's turning him down above him, calling out guys. Michael Chiesa, the Kevin Lees, he called out multiple guys. James Vick has not quite getting those fights. But James Vick is on a hell of a streak in the UFC. He might be 8-1 in the UFC. This is a stacked card, and there's going to be more fights added. With that being said, it is what it is, man. Let the full-time family know what you think about Chad Mendes versus Myles Jury in the comments. That's a great fight. That's the most recent addition. I'm out. And as always, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button and also hit the notification bell right next to it so you're notified every time I upload a video. I'm out.
Da 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 da! It's the motherfucking D-O-double-G!